look at there's so many instruments in the non-interest capital market space, but I think the major one is actually Sukuk. Sukuk is just like we call it Islamic bond, but it's different from a conventional bond, really. So that is one product that is actually appealing to investors.
The Nigerian capital markets have reached a valuation of over 1.6 trillion naira, showing significant growth in the capital market industry. Hello and welcome to Islamic Finance Weekly. I am Rahma Saeed Muhammad. Today we're discussing the outlook for the non-interest capital markets in Nigeria and beyond with the Securities and Exchange Commission Director of Securities and Investment Services, Abdulkadir Abbas. Okay, thank you, Abdulkadir Abbas, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, let's delve in right into our conversation. So according to SEC, Nigeria's non-interest capital market has grown significantly, reaching a valuation of 1.6 trillion naira. What are the factors responsible for this growth?
Okay, thank you for that question. I agree that yes, that is a fact. The only no-interest capital market has actually grown, exponentially. And if you look at the factors that are actually responsible, I can say one, we have a very robust and clear regulation, so there's certainty in the market now. And then secondly, there is, good investors' appetite. There is high demand for this kind of product. So when there's demand, you can see that this really that will now, stimulate the market, and we now begin to see a lot of issuers beginning to understand how to structure issuers, market operators understanding this instrument and then getting to know better how to structure this instrument. But I can say that the overall is really about having a kind of robust regulation, not only from the SEC, but to have other regulators that actually come up with rules to actually encourage the issuance or the demand for this kind of products. So that is really what is actually responsible. I can say for SEC is the first setter in this regard, because way back 2010, we came up with regulation to actually open up that market. And then in 2013, we come up with another regulation on Sukuk, and that actually opened up that market. And then, of course, the last thing that I would say is about this public, enlightenment that we have embarked together with other regulators that actually help in building this market.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that input and enlightenment. So looking at the non-interest capital markets in Nigeria, what kind of products can be developed further to attract more ethical funds, more ethical retail investors and deepen financial inclusion in the country?
Okay, so if you look at there's so many instruments in the non-interest capital market space, but I think the major one is actually Sukuk. Sukuk is just like we call it Islamic bond, but it's different from a conventional bond, really. So that is one product that is actually appealing to investors. But that is not to say that that is the only product we have. We have other products. We have Islamic mutual funds, that's Islamic collective investment. And that is actually the one that retail investors can leverage on to be able to invest a small amount of money, and then the fund manager will now pool those resources and invest in Sharia compliant instrument. Aside from that, there's what you call Islamic exchange traded instrument, and of course Islamic index. And these are all products that can be developed to unlock private capital into the mainstream capital market in a more transparent and Sharia compliant manner.
Absolutely. Thank you for that nugget. I'm sure our viewers would appreciate this because, oftentimes it's always sukuk you hear. So it's good to have diverse options to pick from. So, the sukuk, again, which is one of the innovative financing solutions in Nigeria's infrastructure deficit with over 1 trillion naira raised in the last 7 to 8 years. Beyond infrastructure, what other critical sectors can sukuk be deployed to unlock economic growth?
Absolutely. Sukuk can be issued. That is one good thing with Islamic financial instrument. It can be structured in a variety of ways to address various kind of needs. So aside from infrastructure, you can issue Sukuk to essentially even fund an operation of a company or a factory, for instance. You can do a musharaka Sukuk, which is a partnership kind of Sukuk that I can just invest as a Sukuk holder, just like an equity holder in this regard, and I will be getting my own returns. Those monies can be used even to fund other operations, not necessarily infrastructure, as it were. And again, you can be able to have, this kind of scope structured in such a way that you structure it not to target infrastructure, but you can target other operation of the business. For instance, you have a venture and you have, need to now like refinance certain kind of activity. So you now come to the school market, get funding, and then that fund could now be used or deployed, for that kind of activity. So there's so many ways you can be able, and to really look at it in a more contextual manner. If you want to link, real economy with the capital market, non-interest financial transaction is one of the best way you can be able to have that linkage in terms of seeing real, impact, in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So, rounding up this conversation, let's talk about the outlook for Nigeria's non-interest capital market. Tell us what you think.
Absolutely. I think for me, I can see a lot of potential. I think we're just scratching, we're just starting. There are a lot of potential. I can see a lot of openings, especially for corporates. We have never had good outing for corporates coming to the market to issue scoop, for instance. Most of the scoop that we mentioned are actually issued by the sovereign, which is by the federal government. I will envisage or will project to see a lot of traction, especially from corporate coming to issue scoop. As at now, we have two corporates that have actually come to the market and we approve those scope. One is a bank, the other one is a non-bank. But moving forward in terms of future outlook, I can see that this non-interest capital market has a lot of potential. One, to address our yearning infrastructure deficit, and of course to be used, to be leveraged as a platform to raise money to enhance even business operation. So moving forward in the next couple of years, we anticipate to see a lot of traction. All the regulatory bodies have been largely addressed, and I can see that based on that certainty and with this robust Sharia governance that we are putting in place, I can see a lot of traction in that regard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Abdulkadir Abbas. Thank you for your vast knowledge.
Thank you. All right.
That was Abdulkadir Abbas sharing his wealth of experience and knowledge with us. And I'm sure at the end of this video, you're able to pinpoint or take out certain nuggets and points, contributing to the Nigeria's non-interest capital markets growth and the projections for the coming years. And with that, I say, don't forget to keep status as on the program. Follow us on all of our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Thank you for watching. And as always, I am Rahma Say Mohammed.